All right, we're on.
Cool.
What's up, Rafa? How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Good, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Were you excited? I know you hit me up and you're just like, oh, you wanted to do it?
Yeah, I saw Dante, Nadre, and everyone else doing it. I was like, man, might as well. I'd like to hang out with Tyler for a couple minutes and talk about whatever comes up.
Well, I want to talk about you. Where are you from?
So, I was born in Palm Springs, California, which is complete desert surrounded by mountains. So it's essentially a frying pan with the heat volume all the way up.
Yeah.
And I actually grew up there, and I also grew up in Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico, which is an even hotter hellhole than Palm Springs or the Coachella Valley.
Yeah.
So first time I moved up to Humboldt, it was like a complete change for me. It's like, whoa, it's 40 degrees right now. It's like 80 degrees right now in Palm Springs.
Did you do a lot of like outdoor activities as a kid?
Absolutely not. No. But I did work a lot with my dad and gardening. So that was my entire summers and vacations and weekends when I was out there.
Just working,
constant work. So in the summer, we used to cut palms, and that was can I cuss on this or?
Yeah.
It was a complete bitch of a job because you're working from as soon as you can get up, which is 5 or 6 in the morning till the sun goes down. So we were working about 11 to 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it was just, my dad would go up to palm trees, cut the palm leaves off. They fall, and I pick them up as fast as I could because he had to come down as soon as he could from the ladder and then go to the next one. Mm-hmm. So we were just constantly moving. And one of the things that I was still a lot fatter back then, and it was very heavy on me because I was carrying all that extra weight plus about 10 to 12 palm leaves, and they don't seem as heavy as you think, but they end up adding up, and you had to climb up a ladder as well so you can dump them in the dump truck.
Yeah. Are they sharp too?
Yes, they have a lot of how do you call those?
Like a husk?
Yes, they have a lot of them on the side, so you had to angle them at the right angle. If not, they're gonna cut you in the neck, and you always have to put them on your shoulder because you can't carry them like logwood. And you usually have to carry up, there's a couple different palm trees. You usually have the date palms, then we have the big ones and the fan ones. And the ones I always hated the most were the date palms because they have needles sticking out for like 6 to 7 inches long. So you have to be very careful how you grab them. If it's too heavy, they slide back. Those needles will go into your back.
And you did this your whole childhood?
I did this since I was I can walk. And
Damn.
So it all started actually with my grandpa, who came to this country illegally.
Yeah.
Back when the fence was about 6 feet tall, he just lifted off the fence, and him and my grandma came to the country.
Yeah.
And for some reason, instead of settling in somewhere nice and cool, they decided to settle in Desert Hot Springs, which is across the freeway from Palm Springs.
Well, no one's gonna look for him there.
And it's a lot cheaper.
Oh, okay.
So that was how they started working.
Well, that's cool, man. And so, how was school for you? Did you know English growing up, or?
So I grew up in a Desert Hot Springs when I was a little kid, but my mom took me back to Mexico after my first day of pre-K. The reason of that is because I got kicked out the very first day, the very first hour I was there.
What, for choking some kid out?
No, actually, I got in trouble with the teacher. I didn't understand a single word she was saying because I didn't know no English. Mm-hmm. And she put me in a room like it was somewhat of a detention room, and I put a chair next to the door so I can open and get out. And she tried to stop me, and I bit her. And so that minute they called my mom and they kicked me out. And after that, she was already working in Mexico, so she took me back over there with her. And I was there from kindergarten all the way to 2nd grade. And I didn't really learn English until 2nd grade, and it was still pretty much broken up English that I can barely speak. And when I came here in 3rd grade, I was in the ESL programs, which is English programs to learn.
Yeah.
So I kind of got picked on a lot, especially by the Mexican-American kids, to my surprise. That constantly made fun of my English.
Because you were different.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. That I was there from 3rd grade to 6th grade, and then I went back to Mexico. I was there from 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and I came back here. So you got bullied
as a kid?
I got bullied elementary, middle school, and high school years.
Wow.
And even though I was in the football team, I was in the wrestling team, I still got bullied somewhat because,
All right.
And didn't really start actual martial arts until after I graduated high school.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't start jiu-jitsu until after high school?
Yep, I didn't start until I was 17. My mom had to sign the permission slip for me to actually train.
Did you know about MMA and like UFC and all that kind of stuff?
I did, but I never really paid attention to it.
Okay.
Because it was just, didn't understand it. I wasn't into it at all. And I grew up with my Mexican parents, and they didn't really know about that. All my dad knew was soccer, baseball, and boxing. He didn't like that whole grappling. He thought it was
He didn't want to. He didn't want to put you in boxing.
So when I wanted to do boxing all my life too, but my mom always said like no because she didn't want me to become a gang member. That was her whole idea. Like if you do boxing, you're a gang member, which is for me was like shocking. But
Yeah,
oh well.
yeah, everyone, yeah.
And so
People have their ideas.
yeah, and my dad decided just to put me in Taekwondo, which I don't want to bash on, but was essentially useless to me.
Yeah.
So that was that.
And
And
so
then,
how'd you find jits?
so I used to work at a water park right after high school. I always worked with my dad, and that summer I didn't want to
You were
work
that
with
kid
him.
in like flip flops with a whistle,
Yeah.
some shades on.
No, so actually I was a janitor for the
Oh.
water park, so I wasn't a lifeguard. I didn't work for the food service. I was
okay.
janitor, and the reason I got that job is because I didn't want to work with my dad anymore in the summer because it was just like it's too much. And I was just sitting there one day, pretty much ordering my food during lunchtime, and some dude behind me, which is now my black belt, his name is Josh, saw me, and I turned around and looked at him. I thought he was like kind of sizing me up, and then he asked me, "When are you coming to practice?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Oh, jiu-jitsu." It's like, "What's that?" So we ended up talking and said, "Okay, look, let me buy some food for my kid and feed him, and then I'll see you in the back room. I know where you guys have your break because I used to work here." So I went back there. I was eating, and then he popped up in the back break room, and we started talking. And I started going that one day, and I went there that same day. I went to practice, and I met him, and I met my late departed instructor, Ramon Diaz. And from there on, I pretty much didn't stop going. I was weighing 265 pounds. My mom was actually commenting so much about my weight, saying like how fat you are, like you need to do something. I was essentially drinking about 2 to 3 liters of soda every single day because I wasn't doing anything.
All right.
So after that, I lost 30, 40 pounds, and I went back to 210, 220.
Yeah, still pretty big though.
Yeah, still big, but better than 260.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was nice. So I did that for so many years. And
So that was 18 when you started?
I was 17 when I started. Okay. So I didn't turn 18 until September, and I started in July. So like I said, my mom had to sign for me to actually train.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Cool.
minoring.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And then did you do tournaments and take it seriously?
So I never did tournaments because I never had the money. Even after I was working at that place, they were paying $8 an hour, which is nothing. And all the tournaments were in Los Angeles or San Diego, and
I travel.
Yeah, and I just didn't have the money for it. And also the gas was a big problem because unlike most kids that are smart, got Honda Civics, I got a handy-down Mustang from my brother who was going to junk it. And I just asked him, like, hey, I'm going to need a car to go to community college. I was wondering if I can get your old Mustang since you're going to trash it anyways. And he was like, yeah, sure, you can keep it. It was a complete piece of junk. The radiator didn't work. The water pump didn't work. It was a convertible. The top in the convertible top was like about 6 feet deep or long, so you can literally fit through there. So I didn't really need the
cut
keys.
in the top?
Yep, there was a giant hole in the cut in the top.
So, no security.
No security. They had an alarm, but
Right.
there's really no point when there's a giant hole in your convertible top. It had a different colored bumper. The hood was completely dented. The side fender was different from another Mustang, so it took me years to actually fix it. But it
You
was
still
nice.
have it?
I do have it. So I have Vanilla Ice's car.
Yeah. Does it run?
Yes, it does, actually.
There you go.
I got that one, and I also have a new one that I bought a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But they're back home, so I don't really drive them up here.
Yeah. So you just kept grinding out jits, and when did you come up here?
So I came up here back in 2015 January, so I came here for the spring. I wanted to come here since high school, but
How'd you find it?
I found it pretty much when they were having the high school, college stuff.
Right, all the colleges. Sure.
Yeah, and I saw Humboldt. It was the farthest one complete. I just wanted to get out of the desert because that was just the ghettos. I hated it there. Almost every night you hear just people gunshots constantly or just gang members all the time. So I was just like, Humboldt, bunch of hippie white people. I can actually live here in peace.
Yeah.
But I was going to come up here in 2009, but I did not have the grades, unfortunately. So I ended up grinding it out at community college for about 5-6 years.
Whoa.
So I was there parking in the 115-degree weather with no shade.
Yeah.
In that 1980 Mustang that had all metal parts and leather, so it was just burning me.
Dang. So why did it take you 5 years?
So
You just kind of slacked off a little bit.
I did slack off somewhat, but there was also like a very small amount of classes because there's just so many students going there. So there was like, I just couldn't get into classes because of priority. I was in the last priority, so I only got the leftovers of classes.
Oh, okay.
So I was sometimes only taking 1 or 2 classes a semester. But on the plus side for that, it just gave me a lot of time to train.
Yeah.
And one of the best things that my instructor said, Ramon, is like like a month before when I was still starting, I said like, oh, I don't feel like coming in tomorrow. I might not be here. And he told me like, oh, why? You have a date? Like, no. Do you have homework? No. Do you have a job? No. Then you should be in here.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you're right. That was always my excuse. Like, why am I going to practice so much? Like, well, I don't have a girlfriend or a date, so I might as well just go train.
Yeah.
Got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
So
That's good though. It's a good way to go about it. Like,
Yeah.
you ain't got shit to do. You might as well go be at the gym.
yeah, it's 5 times a week essentially. The only reason I didn't go on Saturday was because I was going to work with my dad, and Sundays there's no practice. So
Yeah. And that just molded you into the beast you are today.
somehow I was actually I was one of I was like the most spatsy white belt out there, and then the blue belt was just mean too.
Yeah.
And it just took me forever to get into blue belt.
And so 5 years community college, you did jits the whole time, and then you finally got the grades to come up here.
Yes, after taking so many years just going and going and going to class, like having wonder classes and finally getting enough credits to be in the top priority, I was finally able to get the classes I actually needed to pass. So finally I ended up coming up here after a while.
Yeah. And what was your GPA when you finally came up here?
I was like
Do you remember?
Yes, I was like a 2.85 because of my first classes. I just didn't care, and then I was struggling.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I was struggling with math though. Also, my hardest one too. So I failed the math 2 times, and I was about to fail a 3rd time. And I was like, all right, if I don't pass it the 3rd time, I'm just gonna have to drop off because I can't afford to go anywhere else for take math. So if my choices were if I don't pass math 54, which is beginning algebra, I was gonna have to either join the military or just get a full-time job. And I ended up just grinding out, going to every single tutor I could, just doing hours and hours in the tutoring, and I ended up passing the class with an A.
Wow.
So that was awesome. And then Math 40, I took that, which is intermediate algebra, passed it. And then I took, what was the last one? A liberal arts math, which is just essentially how to gamble and probability, and I ended up passing that with a B. And after that class, I ended up transferring up here.
Yeah. So you never quit. So you just kept going until you got what you wanted.
Yep, essentially.
Yeah. So you came up here, and what was it like when you first got up here?
So my first day here, my mom and dad brought me here. They helped me come up here, and I moved into the dorms. And my first night, I essentially placed everything. I got all my shit put in place. And that night, I literally just watched Disney movies so I can just relax and go to sleep.
Yeah.
The next morning, I woke up. I Googled Lost Boys, essentially.
Jiu-jitsu?
Yes, because right before I moved up here, I was already kind of scoping the area out because I wanted to see like what places are there. And the funny thing is that the first one that came up was self-defense, jiu-jitsu or something like that. And I was like, I don't want to do, it was just self-defense. I was like, I don't want to do self-defense crap.
Yeah.
And the second one was Lost Boys, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. I was like, oh, okay. So I clicked on it and I was just scoping out their pictures, checking them out on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I already knew where I was going to go, so I just printed out a map, and I got a map. First thing I did was go to school and get my ID printed out. And then I started walking to the plaza, walked around for like 5 minutes, and then I walked over to the gym where the new Body High, I think is, or pole dancing studio is now. Okay. I went there, and the first thing I did is saw Brian, like big giant motherfucker. I thought it was like, oh, the instructor, some black dude. And I'm pretty sure there was right before that back in that
Wait, were they the one down by Mazzotti's?
Yeah. Oh. No, they're the one by old Masaki's where the dance port right next to Richard's Goat, essentially. That was the old gym. Okay. And back then when I first got there was another room that was
not Mazzotti's. I mean but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so what was I gonna say? Yes, there was they used to share a room there, and it was for Magic the Gathering. And I'm pretty sure he thought he was kind of pointing towards Magic the Gathering was going to be. He thought I was going to ask because I was still wearing glasses back then. I was super nerdy looking.
Yeah, Brian's quick to judge that motherfucker.
He is. And I was still kind of fat and chunky. And he's like, oh, it's another Magic dude. I'm just telling where it is. Like, oh, hi, I'm here to train jiu-jitsu. He's like, oh. He was like kind of like stunned. And they're like, oh, so are you interested in training with us and stuff like that? And I was like, yeah, I like to train and everything. Have you ever trained before? Like, yeah, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 6 years. And I was like, oh, okay, then. And we started talking a little bit. And so, are you going to train today? Well, I didn't bring my gi today, and I don't want to be late to your class already because that'd be kind of disrespectful. I didn't realize they were like a super chill environment because I came from a very like be on time unless you're at work. You have to bow. You have to be respectful to your instructors and old school Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Ramon Diaz.
And then up here, it's
like whatever. It's like we're cussing at each other. Like
as long as you're here.
Yeah, essentially. And that first day I started rolling, it was a no-gi. And I was rolling as we started doing a negative positions, and everyone was like going after me because I was a new guy. They didn't know who I was. They thought I was some white belt they were going to destroy. And almost everyone.
You just destroyed everybody.
Yeah, because there's only one higher belt than me, which was Brian. And then it was Dante, who was the purple belt. And first time I was rolling with them, I went with, I think one of the guys was named, no, it was Billy and another guy named Dan. And I rolled with them, and I immediately, in negative positions, it was side control. And I immediately just replaced guard in less than a couple seconds. And I just did that to everyone in the entire class. And then Brian decided to just go at it with me. It's like, okay. And he did destroy me, but I gave him a hard time. Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And then I met some guy named Gilbert that day. And
you were heavier too, right? Like 220 or something?
Yeah, I was about 220. I was still chunky, but I still knew how to move around.
And Brian was a brown belt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when he was a brown belt, he was still heavy. He was still somewhat super athletic. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a dad bod yet. He was still working at the bar. He was still the main bouncer there.
Right.
And the first day I was there, I met some guy named Gilbert. And he asked me, like, oh, you're pretty good, man. I'm rolling. You want to come out on the bars tonight? It's a pint night because it was a Thursday. And I was like, sure, I don't really go out, but why not? And I ended up going to the bars, and I walk in there. I was like, oh, it's $2 cover. I see Josh Bates in the front door, too, and he's just immediately sizing me up. And I was like,
Did you see him at the gym?
No, the first time I saw him was at the bars.
Okay.
He was still bald-headed and everything. He was, like, still the most aggressive bouncer.
Oh, you're right.
And so I walk in there, and Brian's like, oh, go in. And Bates is like, who is this guy? Like, I need to check his ID. Or like, don't worry about it. Just go in. And I'm walking around the bar for like 5 minutes. Like, oh, where is this guy? Like, I'm about to leave. And then Brian comes in there in the middle of the bar and smacks some guy in the back of the head. It's like, hey, it's the guy Gilbert. It's like, don't invite him. You're not going to hang out with him. It's like, oh, he's right there. So next thing you know, we're just hanging out. And I don't really drink. And after that, I just started going out on the weekends and stuff because they invited me out. But I never drank, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then the following week, school started, and on a Monday, I got in there. I was essentially the only guy wearing the purple belt, and everyone else was either a white or a blue belt. And we did negative positions, and I almost remembered it was like almost an entire line just waiting to go against me. I was like, okay. So I was like, this might be interesting.
Yeah. Now you're the big boss, man.
Yeah, there was like Dante, and there was another purple belt named Travis, who I rolled with, and the first thing he did was throw a triangle at me, but no one had ever rolled with a guy like me, which was old school Joe Moreira type of style, which is just heavy pressure.
Mow him down.
Yeah, and just grind him out with the heavy pressure. And this minute he threw a triangle, I just did my stack pass and grinded him about it. I think I almost broke his nose with his own knee and passed his guard.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like trying to put a triangle on you because you just smashed me.
Okay. So I actually learned that back with my oldest professor, Ramon Diaz. Yeah. So that's how I usually taught how to.
Hold on. So when did you start at the bars?
I started back in.
Was it right there or?
No, I started in November of 2016. So my second semester, I wasn't living in the dorms, and I was just walking around trying to find a place. And for like the first week, I was living with my friend Roman, back in the edge of Eureka, like going towards Fortuna already. So I was driving back and forth, and then Brian would like jokingly said like, oh, Dante has a place open, you just have to pay $800. I was like, shit, that's way too much for me. So for an entire week, I took that seriously. I just couldn't afford it. And then Dante like, hey man, so why don't you move with me? We told you like, well, I can't afford $800. Like, we were just joking. It's $400. Like, really? It's like, yeah. Like, oh shit, I didn't know that. Like, yeah, I'll move in with you right now. And so like the next day, he told me like, yeah, I just left the door open. You can just move all your shit in there. And for one semester, I was Dante's roommate.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I was working at Blue Lake, and I was also working at Costco for like 2 months because couldn't afford just to take out loans after loans. And then I was working and asked Brian like, hey, if you ever need extra help at the bar, let me know. And then November came like, oh, you're on the list. Like, what do you mean? Like, I put you on the schedule to work. Like, oh, okay. It was like 2-3 days before November.
Yeah.
So I got to hang out with Ashley and Woody at the time when they were still kind of seeing each other for, what was it, Halloween. And then that next day, I went to work, November 1st.
Right on, dude.
So that was my first couple. I was only working on Fridays and Saturdays at the time at the bar.
Yeah.
And then eventually I started getting more and more time.
Yeah, because when I first started working there, you'd already been there for like 2 or 3 years, right?
I was there for like a year or so, and after, it was in February when Brian asked me, like, so what do you like working more, sidelines or Toby's? And I kind of said, like, I kind of like Toby's more because they tip you out better.
Yeah.
Because back then it was still Jay in charge of the tipping, and Dante wasn't really bartending, so you're just getting about $30 and that's it. And one night I got to work at Toby's, and I got tipped out a lot more.
Yeah.
But my actual first night working at Toby's was on Thanksgiving Day, and I was working with him, and he was old school, just coked out and drunk. And the bartender bouncers, which was Mike Crick, I don't know if you met him, Joe and Ben when he was still a bouncer. They came like, hey, you want to make some extra money today? Like, sure, why not? Like, we're going to be by yourself right now. And Ben is like, I'll give you the rundown right now. So he trained me how to do everything at Toby's in less than 5 minutes. Like, all right, this is what you do. You clean the tables, you clean the back, you close this in the back, you restock this, and you take out the garbage. All right, have a good day, bye. And they all just at the same time walked out. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm here by myself after the first 30 days. Right, or first 20-something days, I'm by myself. And like, oh, hey, I'm Rafa. Like, moving, doing this hand gestures, like, oh, it's like, hey, and just went back to doing the bar. Like, oh, okay then. Yeah. So I'm just walking around, and I'm still working at Costco as well. Yeah. So I had just gotten off work from Thanksgiving they're closed, but anyways, yeah, I was working at Costco still, and I was doing all that, and I'm working. I was like, whoa, this is going to be an interesting night. I didn't really notice he was coked out because he was also completely drunk. Right. So that was a very interesting night.
Yeah, you don't know with him until you unless you've known him for a while, then you can tell. Yeah. But that's funny. Did he tip you out that?
He tipped me out $150 that one night.
Goddamn.
But that's because he was also completely drunk and coked out.
Yeah.
So that was a good night. And then after that, I went back. Friday, I went back to sidelines, and I just worked there for most of the time until February when Brian asked me, like, hey, do you want to?
Which one?
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of asked Toby's.
And then, so you kept going to HSU, and you graduated, yes?
Yeah, so I graduated HSU. I was supposed to graduate in 2017, but I couldn't pass the final senior class. So my teacher asked me if you want to do a continuation one, which is she gave me a year to finish my thesis paper, and then I finished it. And in 2018, I officially graduated. So I am a graduate of HSU with a history major.
Yeah. Why'd you pick history?
Because I knew I sucked at math, and I actually originally, when I first came up here in 2009, I wanted to do a bioengineering, and then I realized, like, this is way too much math for me. I'm not going to be able to even close to do this. And I try to see what else I can do that didn't require too much math, and I ended up like, well, I like history more than anything else.
You can read a bunch of books.
Yeah, I'm interested in history, so might as well do that. So
cool.
That's the end of it.
Yeah, what's your favorite kind of history?
So my favorite type of history has to do with between World War I towards the end of the Cold War, which is I'm interested in the most because of the whole genocides between Germany and Russia as well. Yeah. So those are super interesting, and Japan.
So like the first kind of 50 years of the Industrial Revolution. Everything just kind of exploded and shit went crazy.
So about the 50 last years of the Industrial Revolution, and once it got into World War I, those dark times, and then World War II, then Cold War, and everything that happened between is like what I found most interesting because you can still meet people that were alive back then.
Oh, that's true, huh? Yeah.
Because you're never gonna meet anyone like, oh, so how was the Civil War? They're all dead. Like, you can't really talk to them.
Yeah.
But
here you can still get the history from the people themselves.
Yeah, you can still so how was Auschwitz? You can still meet people that were actually in those death camps.
That's crazy.
So that was the interesting part, and a lot of people in where I lived were actually Jewish that escaped the Germany regime, Nazi regime. So that was super interesting.
Yeah. And so you got your history degree, and you to go back to school, or what are you trying to do now?
So right now I'm actually going to join the military. By next year I'm trying to leave and join the officers program, and hopefully I can get
you're going to have to shave your beard, right?
Yeah, I know. Okay. But I can still hold it out for a couple months until I have to shave.
Yeah, you're going to have to shave every single day.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah. I'm just taking advantage of it right now, so letting it grow. I don't mind shaving my head because I'm already going bald anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So, yeah, you want to go next year in the officer program, go to OCS, and what branch? Where do you want to go?
So,
did you say Army?
Yes, I'm gonna join the Army, and I've been talking to my recruiter, which is Tim. I'm thinking about either going towards the Armory or the Infantry Division.
You don't want to go Special Forces?
Nah, I'm pretty sure I will make in the Special Forces. I don't like heights too much, so I'm not in the mood to jump out of planes.
Oh man, you get a parachute.
True, and if I do go Special Forces, I'm just thinking between. Well, actually, it's not between. I would be going into Army Ranger School, which I like to go to if I decide to go that route.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to Ranger School regardless of whatever. You can be an armorer and go to Ranger School.
Yeah.
It's just a school. So Armory, or what was the other one?
Infantry.
Oh, well, dude, if you're going to do infantry, you might as well go Special Forces.
Yeah.
Plus, in Ranger School, you have to jump out of planes anyways.
Very true. I can lose my fear eventually, but what I want to kind of do right before I leave, I want to go skydiving in Palm Springs, which is, they have an air base out there.
Yeah.
So I can just go do that with them and just jump out of a plane for the first time and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And if it goes too bad and I don't like it, then I'll go Armory.
Right on. Yeah, I think it depends on like where you place in the school, because I think the most popular choice is like infantry or aviation, I think. So it just depends on where you place in the class, and then you get to pick which one you want to go to. So as long as you do well, which I'm sure you will, you'll grind through everybody.
Yeah, I know I can't wait for the Army Combatants program though. That should be fun.
Yeah. Oh, you can be a combatives instructor too.
That too. I could just choke people out in their own uniforms.
Yeah. And you can do the tournaments.
Yeah, I could as well, and just destroy most of them hopefully, unless I get unlucky and end up going with some Brazilian phenomenon that destroys and annihilates me.
Yeah, they don't join the Army though.
Very true. They just get bought out by a school.
Yeah. So so what do you weigh right now?
Right now I'm weighing my weight fluctuates between 188 to 195. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going up and down 10 pounds here and there. Yeah. Depending on how I eat this on the weekends.
Yeah, because when I first met you, you were pretty chunky.
I was extremely chunky. Yeah. I was about 225. You can see it in my face. I was the Pillsbury man.
So were you pretty big in high school? Is that where it started, or like your whole childhood you were big?
When I was a little kid, I was actually a very sickly kid. I couldn't really eat anything. Everything made me sick. I couldn't even drink milk because I got
American
sick.
Food.
Just food in general. I couldn't really eat anything. Every time I had cereal, I had to either drink it with water or even orange juice because I just couldn't drink milk. It just made me very sick. Yeah. And my mom...
That's because milk's not good for you, ladies and gentlemen.
That is very true. I haven't drank milk, and I don't really drink milk. Extremely rare. I still eat cheese, I'll admit it. But I cut it out a lot. Yeah. But yeah, when I was a kid, probably about first grade, I started gaining weight because my mom started overfeeding me. Because I was just skinny little kid. And I started getting fatter and fatter, and I just didn't stop from there.
You get the taste of sugar, and then you're like...
Yeah, I got that addiction. And you know how Mexicans are, especially in Mexican culture, is a lot of sugar stuff in the food. And unfortunately, I ended up gaining so much weight, and I had weight problems ever since, until recently, a year and a half ago or 2 years.
Wow. Well, awesome, man. Good for you.
Yeah, it took me a while. I always say this, even though I give Brian Wilson shit about it, but I actually thank him. He is the main reason I started losing weight. Yeah. There's one comment when I used to teach at the old gym. I was wearing a rash guard, and it was like, I feel confident in my body, and I was wearing a large rash guard, so it was super tight and compressed. And Brian said the comment like, man, Rafa, you have the best tits I ever seen. And it was like a complete jab at my weight. And I was like, shit. And I looked at the mirror and I saw like, oh my God, he's right. I'm a completely fat fuck. Yeah. And I immediately just stopped teaching class. I told him like, hey, all right, guys, we're going to start rolling now. And right after that class, I said bye to everyone and walked out. Like immediately, I was the first one to leave the gym. Didn't say a word to anyone, just went to my house, saw myself in the mirror, and I was like, holy shit. And I went to my fridge, threw out everything I had that had sugar, threw out everything that wasn't bad for me, threw out all my bread, threw out everything I had. And that day I went to Costco. I went over, bought a lot of veggies, bought food. And then one of my friends I was still working at the bar with, Lewis, told me like, oh yeah, man, you should start eating more veggies too. Like what I do is sometimes juicing them is really good. So that week I essentially bought a juicer and just started juicing the shit out of everything. I started juicing my celery, spinach, tomatoes, carrots. I started drinking kale and all that stuff. And it just
Celery's like the worst flavor of juice.
It is, but
I'm like, oh.
But then Lewis also told me like, don't drink too much. Don't try to do celery because it has too much water in it. So and that's what you're trying to lose as well. So
you start peeing out your butt.
Oh yeah. So I was essentially just juicing my carrots, a cucumber, tomatoes, spinach, and kale. And I was working out I was working out every single day. I was going to jiu-jitsu every single day, and I started doing the stand-up class as well. So I was working about 2 to 3 times a day for about an entire year, nonstop. And I was just grinding it out. I didn't eat no bread, no carbs. I didn't eat any lactose or any dairy. I didn't eat any red meat. I only ate breast chicken and veggies with broccoli and stuff like that. And that was essentially my entire diet for a whole year.
Yeah.
And it just started going down and down and down and down. And Brian kind of pointed out a couple days ago saying like, yeah, your jiu-jitsu started sucking so bad when you're losing because your game had to change completely.
Right.
Because my using my weight pressure on them wasn't working anymore because I was going to 190, I was going to 200.
You're losing weight.
Yep, and just people were able to just run through me. So eventually the lifting.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember rolling with you in that transition because I would never be able to move you. I couldn't even move you at all, and you would just plow me. But then as soon as you started losing weight, I'm like, I can move you a little bit. I still can't beat you, but I can move you a little bit. I was like, okay, he's lighter now, but he's faster and stronger.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So a lot of people were like saying that, like, yeah, we can all beat Rafa now. I was like, he's not heavy anymore. They're just running through me. But eventually the lifting the weight started catching up with me as well. So my strength kind of started coming back. And now people are like, fuck, now he's strong and fast. And you can still use that pressure. It's like, we're screwed. And I stayed around 190 and kind of was like, all right, I'm finally comfortable at this weight. Even though my still goal is to go about walking around between 180 and 170. That's still my goal. So maybe losing an extra 10 to 20 pounds would be where I'd be comfortable at.
Do you run a lot?
I always hated running, to be honest.
You gotta run, bro.
I know. That's the one thing I gotta do.
That's where you really make that next transition and you start running like 10 miles a week or something like that.
I want to start running, actually. That has to be one of my new things. A new job, I'm going to start at 9. And I want to maybe wake up around 7, go running for an hour, and come back and shower and head over. Yeah. So that's what I want to start doing, since especially if I'm going to join the Army, I have to run a lot more.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But I start adding a lot. Well, I start adding a lot to my things is stop doing upper body weights and just start doing more resistance. That's what Dre, my friend, told me. Like, the best thing you can do is just do resistant weights for your upper body, because if you get too tight, you won't be able to, you'll be like a football player, just big and not be able to move. Yeah. So after that, I started doing a lot more push-ups, a lot more pull-ups. So I bought a resistance bands and just started working on my shoulders and biceps like that. Yeah. And even though you don't see me huge anymore, I just feel like more physically strong.
Right. Yeah. Starting to come into your own.
Yep. So I'm starting to enjoy that bodies. And one of the comments my mom used to make when I lived down there is saying, like, the reason you don't have a girlfriend is because you're so fat. And now my mom sees me, is like, are you okay? Are you
your whole life is just fueled by, like, the hate of other people. Yes. Just, like, trashing you.
Exactly, because
people are pieces of shit.
So my nickname when I was a little kid was Gordo, which in Spanish translates to fat ass. So it wasn't just my cousins calling me that. It was my aunts, my uncles, my own parents.
The whole environment.
Yeah. So Mexican culture is very cruel to people that are different, or, you know, in a negative way. And the worst part is I was fat and I was blind, essentially, because I was wearing glasses. So I was just ridiculed. It was funny because when I lived in Mexico, we always wanted to play soccer and people wouldn't even pick me. People wanted to play against odd numbers. So it'd be, when we were playing soccer, it'd be like 6 against 7 because they'd just rather not pick me and just rather have me sitting on the sidelines and play because I was just that useless. Yeah. And it's funny because now my cousins all see me. It's like, shit, he can beat the shit out of us now. It's like, yeah, you say one more thing again with my weight, I'll destroy you guys now. Yeah. So I went from...
So now what did your mom say?
My mom says, like, are you on drugs or something? Constantly. It's like, are you doing anything? Like, are you eating well? Like, yeah, I'm eating very well, Mom. Thanks. I just completely changed my diet after so many years.
Eating well helps. Yeah, thanks for all the obesity years.
Yeah, after all those critical comments you all said and never defended or stepped up to defend me, I finally decided to take action on myself. Yeah. And one of the worst nicknames I had was Foca Ciega, which is a blind seal. And that's what my sister used to call me because I was fat. And she compared me to a seal, but she called me a blind seal. Right. So there was that. But every time I made a comment about her weight, I got ridiculed for it. So that was very uncomfortable for me growing up.
Yeah. Man, yeah, went through a lot of adversity.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
you're like one of the fittest guys I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Except for the running part. We got to go running.
Yeah, I need to start running, definitely. I got lazier, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm about to jump in the ocean here at like 3. You want to go?
I got work at 2:30, unfortunately. I work with kids now. It's funny the transition. I went from being a bouncer telling guys to get the fuck out to telling little Timmy that we can't use physical violence and we got to use our
Timmy
words.
to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I got to tell like, Timmy, we got to use our words respectfully to talk to other kids so that we can express our feelings.
Yeah.
Like, how did I go from telling the college student to get the fuck out, I'll beat your ass, to talking to little Timmy saying how we have to talk respectfully to other students?
It's a good transition. So how old are the kids you're working with?
So I work with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, which is more mature than the kindergartners.
Yeah, but they're little shits.
They are, because they're going into middle school and they're getting all that pre-bissing stuff. So that transition for them is a little bit hard and they kind of get rebellious.
Starting to learn how to use cuss words.
Yes, I always constantly catch kids using cuss words. So like, really? It's like, oh, don't tell my parents. It's like, well, I'll give you one shot. If I hear you say it again, we will be talking to your parents.
Yeah.
So there's that. And also when they're fighting, I have to break them up.
Right.
And that's always a fun one. And
yeah.
The first time I started, I was with the 5th graders, and they asked me, so what do you used to do before this? Oh, I used to be a bouncer. And they were asking me, like, I wasn't allowed, essentially, but I always told them some of my stories I did without using too much graphic violence on it. So that was entertaining.
Yeah. That's funny. And how did you get that job?
So after I stopped working at the bars for getting fired from a report that I rather not mention, even though, you know, it was...
It's public.
It is public, but essentially I wasn't even mentioned when they actually went to court. I ended up getting a job. I already had a job. I already got a job offering at Eureka City Schools, and it was just delivering food. And even though they didn't pay as much, it was somewhat better mentally because I didn't have to deal with all the bullshit anymore. And I started doing a lot more push-ups because I was delivering food in the morning, and at every single stop at the school where I had to deliver food, I just pop out 100 push-ups at each stop. So I was doing about 300 to 500 push-ups every single day at my job, and that was fun. So that made me a little bit stronger. And I was looking for a second job, and then the lady there like, oh, well, you want to take this job? We recommend you for this. And I ended up getting a job interview for supervising after-school programs, and I ended up getting it. And I was doing both of those jobs, and then I ended up just keeping this one at the supervisor one.
Nice, man. Cool. So supervisor of after-school program. So like all the parents that need to leave their kids after school because they have work, and then they come get them at 5 or something?
Yeah, so it's I'm essentially an overpaid babysitter.
Yeah.
And we may have a nice little title for it, but I'm in charge of the people taking care of those kids.
I would play dodgeball every day.
They love that game, but they get very competitive. They get mad because they don't like losing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I constantly have to explain to kids like, well, that's part of the game. If you don't like losing, you're welcome to go play board games, which you'll probably lose as well.
Right.
But I have to say it a lot nicer to them.
Yeah. You always have to lose.
Yeah. And I always want to tell them this, but I can't. And what I always say is, well, if you don't like losing, get better. And that's why I tell them at the gym. It's like, fuck, I hate, when I'm rolling with the guys, it's like, I hate losing Tito. Then get better. It's plain and simple. That's what my old instructor, Ramon Diaz, used to say.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't like losing, get better. It's like, the only way to get better is to keep training.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's true.
I keep losing.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I keep training. I hate losing to people. I accept the loss, but I just hate losing, so I just keep training. And that's why I'm pretty sure everyone, especially in the MMA game, is the same way. Like, if you don't like losing, you just got to get better.
Yeah.
You can't get mad for losing. And that's what I'm trying to teach those kids. Like, well, if you don't like losing, you can either quit or just keep training and get better.
Good for you, man.
Thank you.
That's so awesome. Yeah. Man, you work so hard.
Thank you. And that's the reason I started doing stand-up, because I started boxing with you and you just beat my ass completely, and I just hate it. I really hate losing.
You hit me so hard. That's why I was like, all right, I'm not letting you even close to me, because every time you do, you just land so hard. I'm like, oh, you motherfucker.
Yeah, so that's my reason I want to train more, because I just hate losing to you guys in the stand-up game. It's like, all right, the only way to beat you guys is to get better. So
yeah. Your boxing is phenomenal since it was when we were back at the old gym.
So yeah, I used to box back in when I lived out there, but it was like I didn't pay, to be honest. I just went out there to do the cardio, so I didn't really get that much instruction, because most of the boxing instructors out there just kind of concentrated on the professionals, and they just used me as an extra buyer to get beat up on. So I got beat up by a lot of the pro boxers. I just didn't really learn that much.
And you've been hit and miss with Shlomo and Alex?
Yes, and then the new instructor has been helping me a lot more as well, even though I just took his first class, which was fun.
Yeah, he's good too. Yeah, you be at Striking the Night?
No, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately.
Oh, you're teaching jits. That's right.
I am, but now every single day is gonna be the 8:00 classes now. So stand up is now from 8 till 9:30, I believe.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and tonight I have to take out my girlfriend to watch it.
Oh, the second one?
Yes.
Oh man, yeah, I kind of want to watch that.
Yeah, and one of my things that my old instructor said too is like, if you don't take her out, someone else will. So I was like, this guy always makes a lot of sense. Everything he says is like on point.
Right. Like, get better, take her out.
Or someone else will.
Nice, dude. Well, thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you. We still got 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, you want to keep bullshitting?
Yeah, why not?
All right. So, so you want to talk about your girl? How you met her? You been dating her for a little bit?
Yeah, I've been dating her for almost 2 years.
Or do you don't want to talk about her?
No, not really. I'm a very private person about that.
Okay.
Gotta keep that mystique for maybe some girl that wants to listen to your podcast. And it's like, ooh, it's Rafa.
No, if they're gonna listen to the podcast, it's because they want to listen to you.
Exactly. I don't need them to hear like, about his girlfriend. It's like, oh, dang it.
Okay. So we'll just keep talking about your attributes then. It's like now you're wicked fast, wicked strong, good at jiu-jitsu. You have a college degree. You have a goal. You have a plan. You have aspirations. Like, man, you're a ticket.
I am. I'm trying to do about 15 to 20 years in the military, so once I retire, I can just open up my own car shop business.
Is it like repairing or painting or what?
All of it. I never wanted
finally
to go
fix
to
that old Mustang that you got.
Yep. Yeah. I never wanted to go to school. In the reality, I hated school with a passion, and I always wanted to be a mechanic more. I always wanted to have my own shop. I always wanted to fix cars. And joining the military might help me just do that after 20 years, getting that retirement fund. I can just open up my own shop, show up whenever I feel like it, go to work if I want to or not.
Yeah. And so that's after the 20 years?
Yes, that's after 20 years.
Yeah. Well, you said you hated school, but then you went to college for like 9 years.
I did, because I knew, like, man, I don't want to, because the reason was, like, if I didn't go to school, I knew I'm pretty much going to have to work in the field, essentially. And my mom essentially gave me two choices. Either you can go to school and live with us rent-free, or you can start paying rent. And I was like, I'll just go to school, I guess. So for like 2 years, I just kind of did bullshit, but also was hard to get classes.
Didn't have to pay rent.
Yeah. And eventually I was like, man, I don't want to keep working with my dad anymore. So I just kind of started stepping up little by little, but grinding it out because of the priority list. And eventually I was able to get high priority, get all my classes, get my GEDs, and get out.
That's funny, man. And so, all right, well, the car, so you want to leave back down south when you finally get out of the military?
I honestly want to move to Arizona.
Arizona?
Yeah.
What's over there?
So it's a lot closer to my parents and to Mexico as well, but it's also cheaper in rent. And if with the money, I'm pretty sure wherever I live, I'm going to be getting the same amount. If I live in Arizona, it's just cheaper taxes and cheaper rent. Yeah. So I won't be paying California taxes.
Oh, okay.
So I can be making a lot more money. Yeah. Essentially, well, not making a lot more money, but I wouldn't have to pay as much for property. Yeah. And I want to be around Phoenix area, and this is like 3-4 hours away from Desert Hot Springs and Mexicali, so it's perfect. So hopefully.
Yeah. And then you want big family, kids, all that?
I'm honestly not thinking about that right now.
Later.
That's if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, oh well. Yeah. I'm not gonna be sad about it. Right. I can always adopt if I really want to.
Yeah, I enjoy not having a kid. Right. It's not that I don't like them.
I already work with kids enough. I don't need to deal with that bullshit at the moment.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then you have to raise them. You have to pay for their shit. You have to pay for their college. Maybe they want to be there until after 18. It's like, no, I'm good. Not for now.
Yeah, it'd be good.
I don't want to wake up for 2 years. I don't want to wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning to change it and feed it.
Yeah, no.
It's not going to happen right now.
Not some kids. All right, well, what else you got? You're all tatted up. I know you like tattoos.
I love tattoos, and my mom was always super against tattoos, like completely against.
Apparently your mom was wrong about a lot of things. So
yeah, she's. I love my mother, but she did have her flaws. And she always thought tattoos would involve gang members, but that's because she grew up with the uncles that became gang members as well.
So she just saw what they saw and was like, don't do anything that they do.
Yes, because she saw her brothers getting tattoos, and they became heroin addicts. They were killing, murdering people in Mexico, and that's what my mom just thought. Same as my dad's brothers, who were also gang members and had tattoos. So that's what my mom just thought about. I was like, no, you can't do that. I don't want you to become one of them. And my first tattoo, actually, I got when I was 19. It was my back piece. And I got it in my nephew's garage, who's also a gang member, who coincidentally. So that was funny. First time my mom saw it, she just looked at me and shook her head. She was not mad, but just disappointed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I always wanted to get tattoos. And she constantly said, like, well, your body's a temple. You're, going the whole Catholic route. I was like, Mom, you kind of know I'm not really religious at all. I'm kind of an atheist.
Yeah.
And that kind of even broke her heart even more.
Right. Yeah.
I don't say that to my grandma because I don't want to be the reason she died. So.
Yeah.
And saying me being atheist also is kind of not making fun, but it's also funny because my godfather is my mom's brother, who's a priest, a Catholic priest. So I kind of don't say that to them, but I just got to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to talk to like hardcore religious fanatics. I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I don't really talk to a lot of them. Around here, they kind of keep to themselves.
Yeah.
Unless you're on the plaza and then some old lady comes up to you and starts preaching. I've had that happen a couple times. Like, oh, do you want to talk about Jesus Christ? I'm like, no, please. I please, no.
Yeah, they done that to me too. And when they ask, like, no, just walk away. And I kind of fit the stereotype up here too of the whole bald, tattooed Mexican gang member, even though
you look scary.
Even though I'm far from that.
Right. Still scary though.
True. I use it to my advantage. Tweakers leave me alone.
Yeah.
Or they probably ask me if I have drugs. Yeah. Which either way I say no.
Mm-hmm. Wait, either way, you mean you're walking around with drugs on you sometimes?
No, of course not. Either way I say no. I don't sell meth. Get away from me, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I thought, like, no, get away from me. And just keep walking. Yeah. So they leave me alone. So that's kind of nice.
And speaking of your tattoos, so you had to get the ones on your hands removed?
Yes. So I got a first laser treatment in the summer, and I can admit that hurt like a bitch. Yeah. The first time I felt it was like a hard, stinging, hot sensation. And I was like, oh, shit, this actually does hurt. And that was only actually it wasn't even 5 minutes, but it was more painful than any other tattoo I had for like 2 hours.
Fuck.
Like
I still can't even imagine the pain. Like I just can't fathom it.
I tolerated it, but it's like, we just get this over with.
You have a high pain tolerance though.
I do.
Yeah, you do.
You gotta kind of have to.
Yeah. When
you live in the desert and you're working as a field worker or in the garden. Right. Because a lot of times you're working with cactuses or you're working with other things. I've had black widows crawl on my face sometimes. I've had to see rattlesnakes, scorpions, all that stuff. The best one, though, I ever saw was when a hawk just came out of nowhere and just picked up a rattlesnake and flew off with it. It was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And just went back to work.
Boss.
It was. I was like, whoa, that's so cool.
So how many more sessions you got on your fingers?
So I probably have 2 to 3 more sessions on it. Okay. And hopefully I get a waiver pass and I'll be getting them done. I'm definitely going to have another session in December when I go back home. Yeah. And hopefully I can go one more time before I head out to the military. Yeah. But they're pretty fading right now. Like 2 of them are kind of fading now because of it.
All right. And so those are the only ones that you need to get removed?
Yes, those are the only ones I have to get removed because all of these can be covered up with the...
Right, with the sleeve thing.
Yeah, so that's pretty nice.
Nice. Cool. And no broken bones or anything like that?
Nope. I've never had a broken bone, actually, knock on wood, thank God. Yeah. And it's funny I just said that because I'm an atheist, but I always keep those things saying thank God or Jesus Christ and stuff like that, which is just in my vocabulary from growing up with my parents.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I say the same thing.
But yeah, no broken bones. I might have my hands are kind of a little messed up, but that's because I'm jiu-jitsu and constant gripping.
Totally healthy. You're fit for military service.
Yes, I am.
Right on.
Hopefully I stay that way.
Yeah.
I just need to do a couple more tests, and I need to pass a drug test, which I should pass since I work out a lot and I can just sweat it out.
Yeah. Do your push-ups, sit-ups, go for your runs.
Right, and swimming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, swim too. Yeah. All right, Rafa. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I
Thanks for having me.
Conversation.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it was good, dude.
It was fun.
All right.